introduction to one of my favorite people on earth, Mr. Stephen Oliver, who is with the Advisor Marketing Podcast. Now, Stephen is a true maverick, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Not only in our business, but I have to tell you, his clients universally love him, and they grow at rates that they wouldn't believe it's possible. Now, on this podcast, in each episode, Stephen is joined by various members of his team or special guests to share insider secrets to rapid growth and high net profits in your financial advisory practice. So I just want you to know you're in for a wild ride, new information, and a lot of exciting new future because of Stephen Oliver.
Okay, we are live and rolling here, Kate. I am again Stephen Oliver with the Financial Advisor Podcast, and I have Kate with Link Selling. And Kate, you directly handle for us and for, I don't know what now, about 30 clients, Facebook advertising, LinkedIn advertising, a variety of services for our clients. Explain to everybody a little bit about specifically what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. Our company, like you said, is called Link Selling, and we actually have two divisions of services. I head up the paid ads division. So our team puts together LinkedIn and Facebook ad campaigns for businesses. We focus a lot on B2B markets, but also have a bunch in the B2C space. We have clients ranging everywhere from financial advisors, martial arts studios, tech companies, SaaS companies, consultants, coaches, all kinds of different stuff. So we do a lot with a lot of different types of businesses, and our goal is to support lead generation and sales development for the companies that we're working with. So all of our campaigns are focused highly on generating leads and sales opportunities as opposed to the branding and, getting the word out there type of stuff. We don't really touch much in the branding or that sort of advertising that doesn't get you any dollars back. So our focus is lead generation and sales.
As I would argue, everybody should be all the time. And
absolutely, yeah.
And in this niche, I haven't been very charitable, but it seems like all the big companies, with a couple of exceptions, are either completely clueless or just intentionally, for some reason, make no effort to drive traffic to their direct advisors. And it's a strange situation where, like some of the really big companies do some pretty high budget advertising designed to do nothing. Yep. Their excuse would be as branding, but the reality is it's designed to do nothing. We're in part here promoting my new book, and when we have a big section that you and Tanner contributed to greatly, and I'll share as we go here. I have a bunch of Fisher Investments ads that I pulled off of Facebook and or LinkedIn and so forth, and I would say they're one of the few that are doing the type of work that you do and I do with financial advisors and directly driving traffic. If I were to go through the lore in the industry, it seems like what I knew not too charitably call the bozo explosion of consultants. They're telling people, including the big companies, that advertising doesn't work for the finance industry or doesn't work for financial advisors. Tell me your experience on addressing that kind of thinking.
Yeah, I've got tons of proof to show for it, that it does work. But in general, our main strategy is to work with financial advisors to give their potential clients a piece of content or valuable information that can help them in whatever their goal is. Some advisors are focused on getting retirement people, some are focused on various other things. So giving your prospect a piece of content that is then through an automated system followed up with in the ad campaign and through email and text messaging, so that people are getting more information from you and getting an opportunity to book a call with you is our general main goal of action, is to get that call booked and start that relationship with people. But at minimum, you're getting someone who's raising their hand and saying, I'm interested in this topic. and you're getting their contact information, and you're able to then follow up with them over time. Maybe they're not interested at that exact second that they're doing it. We're of course giving them the opportunity to book something right away, but then with the series of follow-up sequences that are going out, we're able to continue to stay in front of and stay in touch with people so that when they are ready, they are able to book a call with you, and you're able to monetize that lead that you had generated from Facebook or LinkedIn.
Well, let's show them some examples that
Yeah.
I'll go straight to my book, and if you have some others here
Sure.
to
Yeah.
show as well. This is out of the book. Here's some Fisher investment ads, and notice that the commonality of these as we go is, this ad is driving them to when to retire, quick and easy planning guide. And I think most of these were pulled from Facebook.
Mhm.
How to retire ease with $500,000 plus portfolio, preserve their wealth in retirement. The 7 secrets to high net worth investors. And again, they're referencing right here. Use in this guide, again, a free guide, free lead magnet. How much do you need to retire? Is your portfolio enough? Let us help you download this white paper, the 15-minute retirement plan. In every case, they're doing exactly what you and I would suggest they do. Download the definitive guide to retirement income, learn ways to help you grow your portfolio, with a picture of a really interesting red building in the background. I'm not sure what that one is. Here's even more direct,
Yep.
special offer, the definitive guide to retirement income, and you can kind of go on and on and on. But they're one of the companies I've seen, the big companies that that understand direct response marketing. Now, my they don't do follow up once they get a lead nearly as well as we do, nearly as well as you set up for your clients that I set up for my clients, which are often one and the same. But they do a really good job of aiming at the right audience and doing that. What would you add to that?
Yeah. The most important thing is finding that piece of content or multiple types of content that is something that's already in your prospect's brain. So retirement is obviously a huge focus for a lot of people. But also, we've run some things that are maybe annuity focused, or something that's life insurance focused, depending on your style of practice and your advisor firm. So we can run all kinds of different types of content pieces, but making sure that it is hitting on the pain points of what your prospect is thinking at that time. Giving it to them for free with giving their contact information is a huge part of it. And then, like you said, having that really in-depth follow-up sequence afterwards is hugely important, because let's be honest, most people see something, and even if they do take the time to opt in, it's still probably not the right time at that moment for them to take the next step. So we give them many opportunities to take that next step, to give them an opportunity to book a call with you, start that relationship. And in the meantime, they're also getting additional content, additional tips, tricks, reasons why you're different than some of the other financial advisors in your area, all kinds of different stuff that's adding to that social proof, so that they can continue to build that relationship with you, and they can take that next step and book a call.
You bet. And let's talk about targeting here for a second. I think the thing that gets missed a lot is that Facebook and LinkedIn both really are the benefits of direct mail on steroids. Mm-hmm. Is for many years now, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, is very sharp direct response marketers knew the real advantage of direct mail was the ability to find a list, to find a highly responsive list, find a highly targeted list, and only go to people that you knew were likely to be interested, to very high quality suspects, and not to be raking across the entire population, right? And again, what has happened is, certainly in both cases, but Facebook, for instance, bought up a bunch of the mailing list companies. They bought up huge amounts of data, plus they collect just, I don't know, trillions of pieces of data on everybody every day. Maybe not trillions on each of us, but trillions across the web. And to the point where Facebook and and to a lesser extent, probably LinkedIn. They know more about you and what you're likely to do and what your buying habits are than perhaps you're conscious of yourself. Let's talk about that, because again, I have found generally that advisors tend to be synced in on LinkedIn more than Facebook, and tend to discount Facebook, I think. And even though Facebook's target demographics nowadays are really in their target audience directly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both are really strong platforms for financial advisors, and we've seen success for our clients on both for sure. Most of them are on Facebook, to be honest, because like you said, the target market on Facebook, I mean, most Facebook users are in that 35, 40 to 70 age range, and older. So, the younger people are sometimes on Facebook, but not as often as some of the older population. And, every single person pretty much has a Facebook account. So even if they're not on there looking for something specific to business type stuff, that's why people are always like, I don't want to do anything on Facebook, because people aren't looking for that kind of thing on Facebook. Well, if it's a pain point that they're experiencing, they're going to recognize it. And there's your in. So people maybe not consciously looking for something for their life or for business on Facebook. They're looking for pictures of cats and their grandkids and all of that kind of stuff, but they're still going to see things and they're scrolling. And, if you're hitting on one of their pain points that they're experiencing at that time, there's a good chance that they take action. And then from a targeting specific standpoint, we can get really deep into what types of people we're going after from both a geographic standpoint, of course, anything, even just a mile radius to, nationwide, states, geography, all kinds of different stuff. But we can also, target by zip code. So a lot of advisors that we work with, they live in an area that one section of town is great for them and another section of town is not great for them. So we can actually exclude that not great section and only target the people in the sections that they want. So it takes a little bit of learning with the advisor as to, exactly what your type of profile is for an ideal client. But once we have that dialed in, the targeting can really match that. One thing we've also had a lot of success with is interest-based targeting. And I know you push this a lot with your clients, Stephen, that, it's great to have that common area of interest with your clients. So maybe you're a Star Wars fan, and that is something that, you use to generate more clients and get interest on, or, whatever that affinity is, using that to stand out from the rest of the financial advisors who are just like, I have annuities, I have retirement plans in their ads, and that's all it is. And it's crap. So really utilizing that interest level can make you stand out even more. And that's something we always recommend with our clients.
Yeah, we have clients who, one of them is into fly fishing. Sure. And even has a blog and a podcast on fly fishing and uses that. Another one who is very heavy into right-wing politics and is tied into meetings, political meetings, large group meetings, podcasts, one thing or another on that. All these groups are targetable. Another one who's a Porsche fanatic. Sure. And is a fan of all things Porsches, and he's working on collection every generation of the 911 Turbo, and so he can go find other people who have that affinity with him, and it's that one step closer to, they automatically know, like, and trust you because you have a belief system and an interest that's closer. The one thing we didn't I wanted to come back to something you said a minute ago, though, is the thing that I like about Facebook and LinkedIn, which is different from showing up in search in Google, or, I've been at this a long time, 15 years ago, being found in the yellow pages, let's say, is it's marketing in a vacuum rather than, being out there side by side with everybody else in the business, right? So if I'm out aggressively looking for a retirement planner or a financial planner or somebody who's going to help me with a tax situation or whatever, and I go Google that, the good thing is they're an active buyer. The bad thing is you and everybody else shows up, and hopefully you show up, but the very least they're going to get 30 different alternatives, right? And what you,
Accurate.
yeah, exactly. And what you said that I think is exceedingly powerful is they're not on Facebook looking for an advisor. They're not on LinkedIn looking for an advisor. They're not going to go to Facebook and search for an advisor. If they're doing that, they're going to go to Google. You know, if they're looking to buy a physical product, they're going to go to Amazon. If they're looking to buy a, research, they're going to go to Amazon. If they're looking to research a topic, they're going to go to Google. But when they're at Facebook, they're looking at what their friends are posting, one thing or another. So you get to them in a vacuum before they're out shopping you with all of your competition, before they're out seeing everybody's webpage, before they're out trying to figure out on their own what to do. And it's that getting to them in a vacuum that I think is the much more important part. It's where, again, you could go back 50 years, but very effective marketers got to people while they would get to a conversation going on in their head, but they would get to them before they had a solution in mind, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's a very important consideration.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, answering that question that's already in their head and standing out from the rest. I mean, hardly any independent financial advisors are doing any advertising themselves. And if you
Yeah.
are, awesome, good job. Like, fantastic, good for you. But then also, like, depending on what type of community you're into, there's some additional social proof that you can attach to it. I know, testimonials aren't necessarily something that can be used much in the financial advisor world because of compliance and things like that. But if you're having ads out there and then someone is seeing it and scrolling through and then seeing that their aunt liked it, their cousin liked it, their friend liked it, they're seeing that additional social proof that maybe someone's already working with you, they can check in on, or there's that extra layer of confidence that's built within it. And then add an interest piece on top of it and a content piece that's high value to them, then you're going to be golden and you're going to stand out.
Yeah. And maybe let's circle all the way back to where you started the conversation. It seems like the general public, but financial advisors very specifically, it seems like they've been introduced in the business with, I think of the old movie Boiler Room. I don't know if you remember that one, but of the, let's make 150 cold calls a day and go out to it that way. And nowadays, and there was an article, God, I forget which big company was bought up by Bank of America. And I shared it with you. It was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But they were shifting people from doing cold phone calls to consumers to cold contacts on LinkedIn as their only marketing activity. And the difference in what you and I are talking about here, and by the way, in your company, you'll do the facilitating, cold contacting, follow up, creating a prospect flow. It's not that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here specifically is buying ads that get shown in front of thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people. And the thing that I much prefer is direct response marketing, meaning instead of me knocking on doors, and by the very nature of I'm knocking on a door, doing a cold call, doing a cold contact, my positioning is already suspect because maybe I'm not the expert if I'm having to go beg for business. Instead, what the ads does is it offers a free book, a free report, a free video, a free webinar, something that positions you as the expert, gives them a piece of information, gets them to raise their hand. And then you're only talking to people who've already expressed an interest in what it is you're doing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that's the piece that most people don't get. They think that their traffic is, I go post stuff on Facebook or LinkedIn, or, I have my business page and I put up stuff and somebody's going to find my business page. Well, that's really not the way the vast majority of business online happens.
Yeah, it's a nice piece to it, but and you should get out there as much as you can on all mediums. But the being able to get in front of people that are already interested is a huge difference. So many of our clients too have always relied on, going to networking events, or maybe they hosted a monthly seminar and put out all that free food and put out all kinds of different stuff. And then it becomes this awkward sales pitch and people are really just there for the free food and they have no interest in actually becoming a part of it. Or it's a networking event and you're that sleazy person that's like, let me tell you about my business, let me tell you about my everything and invest with me, but I just met you. There's no way that they're going to actually do that. So being digital offers you the same potential to put that content out there, but people are then raising their hands and it's on their terms and it's them saying, yes, I'm interested in this topic at least, or maybe you have a seminar or something and it's digital and they're coming that way. Great. Then they're able to still learn about you and still hear from you and be able to then have the follow-up sequence and get people in, and you're not wasting hundreds of dollars a month or hundreds of hours a month going to different events and things like that.
Yeah, I am just personally opposed to manual labor as opposed to raking across big groups of people and getting people
Comes
to
in as
identify
you sleep,
themselves.
like it's
Oh
on.
yeah,
It's there.
exactly. The one of the dumbest things I've heard recently is we talked to an advisor who said my company does all of the advertising, and really what they meant was the company is doing brand awareness advertising. And my first question is, oh, how many qualified prospects per month are you getting from your company?
Zero.
Well, I mean, if they're getting 10, 15, 20 qualified prospects a week, great. But if they're occasionally getting one, one of the biggest advisors I work with, he's coming up on 300 million assets under management, strong 7-figure income. But he doesn't even check the company CRM because he gets so randomly traffic, and they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising. The thing about this is, though, I think another element that we've done a lot with you is I always recommend niching either in and perhaps going after several niches at once. But if I'm the person for dentists or for chiropractors or for neurosurgeons or for I'm sticking in medical field here, for contractors or for commercial brokers, you pick a niche. That's an area where I think we all recognize that LinkedIn is a natural, because they have their what their job titles are, their resumes and so forth. But I think people don't realize is Facebook is a marvelous venue for that as well. Because of course, what we do a lot of times is pull a list of those people, tell Facebook to go find a lookalike audience. And when I say we, I mean you know, what your company does for us is pull a list of those people that we want to target. And then you tell Facebook how to go find more of them.
Absolutely. And another thing too, there's a lot of like national associations of blank. We can target that. We can target, all kinds of different affinity groups within those different niches that people are working in. It just gives you that step up and it makes you stand out, because then you can talk directly to them too. In the advertisements that you're doing and the content that you're putting out, you can talk about the specifics of a contractor's retirement or something like that. You can be specific, and that creates that extra level of trust because they're talking to me. Like they're not just talking to the whole world. Like, oh, are you getting close to retirement? Come sign up. Blank, done. That's junk. So we're able to talk directly to people, and that creates a huge difference.
An example is we have a client who is a former police chief. And so now he's targeting police on retirement. But there's all kinds of stuff that he knows about police need with their, pensions and their one thing or another that a standard retirement planner wouldn't know. But he also speaks their language. And so he can be, in my experience as being one of you, the mistakes that I made was, and I can, help you prevent those mistakes, that type of thing. An associate of his is a former fire chief. And so now he can go after firemen. And as one of you, I know what your needs are. We have another gentleman who's a retired major in the I think he was Navy or Marines. And so he can go talk to veterans and soon to be veterans in a language that otherwise wouldn't be appropriate for just hitting a broader audience. I always think that's key too, is really being able to speak their language, speak it in a direct way.
Huge difference. Yeah. From every level. Like if that's one thing you can pull out of this podcast today, That will be the number one, is finding that niche. And you can have a couple, like you said, you can have those couple. But that way you're, diversifying your portfolio of types of clients that you have, but you're also being able to be really specific with how you're talking to people and making yourself stand out among the hundreds of others that are even just in your own county, probably, of financial advisors in your own area. So it's a huge difference.
Yeah, in my own business, I mined the largest employer in the state. I ended up with several C-suite executives, and I was able to talk to them in their terms at the time. It was US West, which is one of the baby bells now, CenturyLink, I think. But Coors Brewery. But once we got a niche with those big employers, we could then mine their employees, speak to them in their language, be at their events, target them, and of course we can target them through their Facebook groups, through their pages, through employee list, their live events, everything else, and it's a tremendous way to go.
Yeah.
Kate, I know you're going to have to run in about 10 minutes. Let's. Is that about right?
Yep, just under that. Yeah.
Okay. How would you summarize this for somebody who's just totally unaware of what you can do with Facebook and LinkedIn? I mean, that's a big question, but.
Yeah, no, I'll put a couple of things out there. So if you're not doing anything on Facebook or LinkedIn from an advertising perspective, I highly recommend it. But if you are going to do it, make sure you're focused on a direct response style so that you're actually getting someone's contact information and putting content out there for them, getting their contact information, and then having a series of follow-ups, whether that's manual follow-ups or automated. We, of course, always go for automated, with manual in addition to that too.
Right.
So the more touch points you can get to someone after they come through, the better. The main thing, from a targeting standpoint, is focus on your niches, and we can definitely 100% target whatever niche it is that you want. I mean, you've seen Facebook, people talk about everything. There's a group for everything, and there's an affinity.
Star Trek fans, Star Wars fans, fly fishing. Yeah.
So don't worry about, my people aren't on Facebook. That's bull. They are. Especially, if you're maybe if you're targeting 18-year-olds, which you're not, that might be the only group, that age group, that's not on Facebook currently as much right now. But from that standpoint, your audience is definitely there. Same thing on LinkedIn. We can get really specific for companies, job titles, types of people that you're going after. And with that, you're able to get rid of some of the fluff too. So, if you're going after people that have at least 500,000, you're not going to necessarily target people that have been in their entry level positions or have only been in their jobs for a year or something like that. There's a lot of different things that we can do to get towards that supposedly higher income person, without calling it out necessarily in the text of the copy. And then from a standpoint of budget, it doesn't take a ton to run campaigns on either of these platforms. Facebook is cheaper than LinkedIn from an ad cost standpoint, but you can still do some damage with a not huge budget. So most of our clients run anywhere from $500 a month to $5,000 a month in ad spend on the platform that they're on per month. So you don't have to do this and be like, oh, well, this is going to be a $20,000 investment. It's not. You can get started pretty cheaply. And for all of our clients, we always start on the lower side and work our way up, scale as it's growing and scale as we're getting the results that we want to see.
Yeah. And the mistake that advisors make all the time is they think that, one, they're going to have a problem with compliance. And of course, compliance is mostly about what promises you make and what literature you distribute. And we've worked with clients everywhere from Northwestern Mutual to LPL and everybody in between. And oftentimes they have a ton of stuff sitting in the can that the company has already provided them that can be that free offer. And now you don't have a compliance issue. They can do a webinar that's already in the can for them. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff they can do that's in the can. The second element I think that they may make a mistake on is thinking that they individually can't do that type of advertising. And whether they're captive or independent, RIA or whatever it might be. They can do all kinds of stuff that doesn't have to be just manual labor. And the third thing is this gives them a chance to ramp up quickly rather than slowly. You know,
Yeah.
the reason the industry has a 90% plus failure rate is most people, you know, who are successful, it takes them 3, 4, 5 years to get any momentum. And most people bail out by this point. This gives you a chance to ramp quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you turn on an ad campaign tomorrow, are you going to have a new client by next week? No, probably not, because
Yeah.
there is some of that relationship building,
Mhm.
but you're at least getting people who are warmer than those people that you're cold calling, or those people that
Yeah.
you're hitting up in events and things like that. So, you know, it's going to be that warmer opportunity for you that can get you in quicker than you could have later.
Yeah, and something you mentioned, we'll leave it at this, but you mentioned the follow-up
Mhm.
is, you know, my perspective is you follow up aggressively immediately, but then you follow up forever.
Yep.
And it was Ogilvy who referred to it as a moving, you know, a moving parade of humanity rather than a standing army. But a lot of people who are interested in your free information today are going to buy in 6 months, 12 months. You know, we took a survey of my clients, and there was a range of 3 years to 10 years of how long they had been following me before they took action. I mean, that's you know, it's clearly indicative of you never give up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, we always recommend a couple follow-up emails at the beginning with, you know, maybe 5 or 6 over the span of 2 weeks, and then weekly or twice a week emails for forever, giving them content, giving them opportunities to re-engage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know you're going to have to run, so thank you again, Kate, with Linked Selling. And Kate, we have the new book coming out any moment now. I'm going to get some pre-publication copies out, but you know, thank you for your contribution and Tanner's contribution to that. And we expand a lot on what we're talking about here, there, and certainly for our clients, we make every effort to get them to use you to facilitate everything. I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you guys. Bye.